Good morning. Darla Jan, real estate agent in South Louisiana with Real Broker. Inspection days are one of my absolute favorite days. It means that if I represent the buyer, they have the right to hire any person. It could be a licensed inspector. It could be their uncle. It could be a carpenter. It could be absolutely anyone. It could be a number of people who they can have inspect the home that they are under contract with. Something very important to remember with inspections, and I hear people say this all the time, is they're scared that their home is going to fail an inspection. Okay, that is a huge misconception. You cannot fail an inspection. An inspection is basically one person's opinion of the condition of the home. Now, if you're a licensed inspector, if you're hiring a licensed inspector, for the most part, they generally have the same checklist of items to look for in a house. They're looking to see the integrity of the roof. They're looking to see, is the electrical system up to code? Are there any issues with the electrical? They're checking the plumbing. If it's a house on piers, they're crawling underneath the house and they're looking at all the things underneath the house that could possibly have an issue. So an inspector's job is to find things wrong with the home. And I really don't know. I'm probably going on close to 475 closed transactions at this point. I don't recall there ever being a perfect home. And I'm telling you, brand new homes have issues. Older homes have issues. They all have issues. There's absolutely no such thing as a perfect home. The great news is just about everything is repairable. Everything. In fact, I don't think I've ever come across something in a house that wasn't repairable. And so, a couple of things to keep in mind. The buyer has part of their contract, something called their due diligence and inspection period. During that inspection period and during that due diligence period, which I've seen it as low as 5 days, I've seen it as much as 30 days, the buyer is in the driver's seat. And the buyer, during that time, where their due diligence and inspection period is taking place, they have the right to cancel the contract for any reason or no reason at all during their due diligence and inspection period. So if I represent the buyer, I always encourage them to have a very, very, very thorough inspection done within very early part of their due diligence period. So if they have 14 days, we're going to get it done probably on day 2, 3, or 4. And that way they're not wasting anybody's time if they don't move forward. Now, I would probably say 99% of buyers move forward because this is what happens next. So the inspector has the inspection report. At the end of the inspection, he or she reviews all of the findings that he's found with the home. The buyer can then decide, is there anything that the inspector found that is so monumentally huge that they just don't feel comfortable buying the house anymore? Okay, remember, the buyer has the right during their due diligence or inspection period to cancel for any reason or no reason at all. So let's just say the inspector finds that the foundation is really in bad condition, and the buyers do not want to deal with foundation issues. They can cancel the contract. If they put down a deposit, they get their deposit back. If they didn't put down a deposit, it doesn't matter. It just means the contract is null and void, and the house will go back on the market. Generally, what happens after the inspection, the buyer and the seller's realtors are in negotiation. So the buyer is going to look at the report with the help of the realtor and decide, are there some things that the inspector found wrong with the home that the buyer wants to ask the seller to fix. They can ask the seller to fix anything on the inspection report that they feel like needs to be fixed. They can ask the seller to lower the price. If there are some things that maybe that need to be repaired, but they want to repair them themselves after closing, they can ask them to lower the price. They can ask them to add money to their closing costs. They can ask them to pay someone to make all the repairs. There are so many different options, and it can be a combination of all of those things, right? But the great thing about having a real estate agent on your side is you yourself are not dealing with the seller at all. And lots of people just don't like negotiation. They don't like drama. They don't like arguing with people. That's why a real estate agent is somebody that's going to help you do all that negotiating with the other real estate agent, right? So during your inspection period, so remember, it can't pass or fail. The difference between an inspection and an appraisal is very different. So if you're using an FHA loan, let's just say, for example, or a VA loan or a USDA loan or a government loan of any kind, that appraiser is going to look for things that could be wrong with the home. Broken windows, missing handrails, rotten wood, peeling paint, roof with missing shingles, all those kinds of things. That's an appraiser's opinion. The difference between an inspection and an appraisal is that things that are flagged with an appraisal, those things must be fixed before the buyer can get their loan. So those are the two different things and the two misconceptions that people have, all right? So you can fail an appraisal because let's just say you have a government loan and you're buying a house and there are 4 broken windows. And for whatever reason, the seller says we are not fixing those windows. Well, if someone doesn't fix those windows, then you're not getting your loan for that house. So that's the difference between an appraisal and an inspection. So remember this, as the buyer, during your due diligence and inspection period, you have the right to hire anyone that you choose to inspect it. It can be anyone at all, but it is their opinion of the condition of your home. Now, some things are just very obvious, right? If there's a broken window, if there's rotten wood, if there's peeling paint, if there's plumbing that's broken, but some things are subjective. I find there are some things that are just subjective. But just know this, as the seller, if you are getting ready to list your home, you want to be proactive as much as humanly possible before your home hits the market, so that when you have a buyer and it is inspected, that inspector is finding as little bit of things as humanly possible with the house. Get a head start on all those items before it hits the market. If you know plumbing is leaking, if you know electrical, when you open your electrical box, one thing that gets flagged all the time is when there's missing plates, open junction boxes in the attic, missing insulation, missing shingles, broken windows, missing handrails, all those things. As a seller, know that an inspector is going to flag those things. So being proactive from the selling standpoint is absolutely huge, because when an inspector starts inspecting, if they're not finding all kinds of little nitpicky things wrong, they're not going to be so inclined to continue to really, really, really dig and look for things, right? If they get the impression that you as the seller took an amazing care of your home, then they're not going to be so inclined to just be really nitpicky and find things wrong with it, because they get the impression that you took good care of it. So as the seller, you want to be hugely proactive in handling things that you know are going to get flagged before it ever hits the market. Y'all have a great Saturday. Enjoy this sunshine. The snow looks like it's almost completely melted in most places. And it looks like it's going to be a great rest of the weekend. Remember, in real estate, there are no stupid questions. If you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to call me, message me. I'd love to have a conversation with you if you're a buyer or a seller. Y'all have a great day. Take care.